some of the chalkboard flowers I've been making and show some of the chalk markers that scrabadabadoo.com has. Now for chalkboard flowers, you can use chalkboard paper. This is the die cuts with a view chalkboard paper. Or you could use regular black paper. Or the easiest thing would be to use a paper line that already has print and such on it, such as the Prima Optimist or the MME Chalk Studio, or there's other brands out there. But if you just have the chalkboard paper, you can die cut it with, this is one of the Tim Holtz Tattered Floral dies, or I cut these out on my digital cutting machine, and it cuts really well. And it was just that black paper. And you can use markers to write on them, or I found that the Tim Holtz Distress Paint works really well on them also, and has a chalky look when you're done. Here was a black flower with the chalkboard paper that I used the blue chalk marker on. And with the chalk markers, sometimes you have to press it down a tiny bit to get the paint started, and then it comes out really easily, really well. It takes a little bit to dry. It is a bit darker. I don't know if you can tell, it's a little bit darker when you first put it on, and it dries a little lighter. The only thing is, you got to give this more time to dry than you might think, because I have been known to try to do flowers or something after I think it's dry, and I smear it. You can just do dots or lines or whatever you would like, curly cues. It is a thicker tip, a broader tip, and the pack that they sell at Scrabadabadoo has the white, blue, and the pink. And this looks a little peachy, but it comes out more of a pink. It's the color of those dots. They also sell the Zig writer, chalk writer, and I like this. It works a little bit differently, but you can get different effects with it. Here's one that I just drew straight lines on, and there I messed up, but hey, that's what the other side of the flower is for, right? And with this one, you have a broad tip and you have a fine point tip. And when you first write with it, it comes out where you barely see it. You think it's just like clear fluid, you don't think it's white, but give it time and it will turn white. And that's the broad tip. You get quite a bit of control with that one. And that's why I bought this one also, is because you have a little bit more control with that fine tip. And here's the broad tip. Again, you don't think there's anything on there, but if you wait, it will come. So that is the Zig marker, and the white marker from the pack, just to compare it. Turns out kind of milky at first, but it gets a little bit lighter as you go also. So, and like I said, you can do dots, you can do lines, you can do little curly cues, whatever you like. But I've also found that the Tim Holtz Distress Paints work well too. If you do not have any chalkboard paper, I find that the taking white cardstock and painting on it with black works really well. This was white cardstock, and I painted on with the black paint and it looks like the chalkboard paint. And then I went over it with a white chalk. Real chalkboards you need to season before they really work well. So even with this paper, if you just kind of go over it and rub the chalk in, and if you get too much you can always wash it off. But if you rub that in some, it is what you call seasoning the chalkboard, and it's easier to write on and erase later. I find that these are hard to write on without doing that with regular chalk. And if you still have, you can always use regular chalk, or I have old chalk pencils from back in the day when before we inked everything, we chalked everything. And I have chalk pencils. They don't work quite as well on the die cuts with the view stuff, but the markers work great. So just so you know. But I just took the black distress ink and you shake it up. There's the bottles inside there to help mix the paint up. And you just paint it on there and let it dry. And it dries fairly quickly. And let me show you one that's already dry. I'll wipe that up. This one's already dry. And I'm going to go in with some, I could do white. Let's do this pink. This is picked raspberry. And I'm just going to go over the stamp. This is a cheapy stamp from back when my son was little, and we did cheap stamps I got at Toys R Us in a package, or Walmart, I forget. But it does good for patterns like this, just simple patterns. Now I have a big glob right there that I'm going to wipe away. And I skim over it to make sure I've covered all of it, and then I just kind of lightly dab a little bit on there. And then I'll press, and it gives really good coverage. And I'm going to, because it's such a small stamp, I'll come over here and do the other side. And if it doesn't get exact coverage, it's okay. Sometimes I'll go in and just press one here or there to make it blend in a little better. But that dries fairly quickly. And here's one I did in the blue. This was Salty Ocean that I really like. So that's one easy way to give patterns to them. Or you can do the paint chalk markers, or you can just buy the paper like Prima Optimist. And I cut these out of the 6x6 Prima Optimist pad, and they're a lot easier to work with. So just a few tips on working with chalkboard paints. Here's one that I did with Lindy's Stamp Gang, and I stamped over it with just a script stamp and stays on. And then this part was white cardstock that I colored black with the distress paint, and then I stamped white circles on top of with the white distress paint. So there's lots of different options, and you can have a lot of fun with it. This was white paper I colored with the picked raspberry, and this was actually black die cuts with a view paper that I cut out and put white dots on with a pen. So lots of good ideas to work with these chalkboard flowers. And they go great with all of the popular chalkboard projects out right now. Thanks. Bye.